It is now 9 o'clock. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Merrimack, New Hampshire Trustees of Trust Funds meeting. I'm Chris Christensen, Chairman of the Board. And on my right is,
Bill Wilkes, trustee.
and on my left.
Pat Heinrich, trustee.
And the first order of business is approval of the minutes of, what was it, September 23rd.
Yes.
Do we have a motion?
I will motion we approve the minutes of September 23rd, 2022.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3, 0, 0. I will say that short agenda today, so you can speak slowly and we'll try and fill the time. So the first item on the agenda is portfolio review. Some of this is just to bring up questions for our meeting next month with our portfolio managers, which is Cambridge Trust. And we got our first quarterly statement. So I wanted to verify, I talked to Liz, and Tom's got his, I think.
Yes.
You guys both got your copies, okay?
Yes, I got mine.
Yes,
It was under my
yes.
folder to bring.
Oh,
It's not here. But
well, 3 months worth of paperwork is pretty thick portfolio, but it's easier than getting the same thing every month and all that duplication. So I was happy with it.
yeah, I was gonna say it's that tree management thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You brought it up earlier. Yeah, so that's,
Okay, and the other question that comes out of that, at one point in time, there were a couple of things. They just listed all the holdings alphabetically, which I found hard to track. And they did change it to listing things by sector, which for me is a much better way to see where we're headed and what we're doing and where our balance is and that kind of stuff. But if there's other things that we would like to have, it goes through an outside vendor for mailing, printing and mailing and whatnot. But if there are other things that we'd like to have, we can do that on a separate basis or maybe even incorporate it into the quarterly statement. I don't know if there's anything that comes to anybody's mind immediately.
Nothing in particular at this point.
Okay. All right, so I'm just
and what was helpful to me was the quarterly report that just came through that I read. Was it yesterday or the day before we got the quarterlies? This is where the quarter's going, so all together, one package, one time.
oh, the quarterly letter from the CIO?
Right.
Okay, that one came online. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got an email, and you had asked about that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get their emails. Cambridge Trust, I get their
And you
emails.
get those?
Yes.
Okay. Then I won't forward them anymore. It's hard to tell because the emails I get, and probably the same ones you get, just have my name on it.
Yeah.
As opposed to an address list where I can say, oh, they've already got it. So the other question, next item, if you will, is we've invited Cambridge Trust. Lindsay, Eric, and Judy will be here next month. And I guess the question is, do you have anything that you want to have them research or be prepared to answer or make a presentation about? I, for one, had a question about our latest purchase of an income-bearing ETF. Has an 11% yield, which is pretty good, but I researched a little bit and I can't figure out where the 11% comes from. Certainly not from the top 10 holdings. So I'm just curious about that. And Tom had mentioned that he's interested in what we're doing in terms of laddering our fixed income things, if we're just kind of rolling things over and keeping the same ladder distance, or if we're shortening up or stretching or,
I'd be interested in that also.
yeah.
Ladder strategy.
Pat, anything you
Not right now.
have as an interesting question?
I don't
Uh,
think so. No.
Well, email me if you have something and I'll
Okay.
forward it to them. I'll wait another week or so, and so that we have everything all going in at once rather than just straggling in little bits and pieces.
Okay.
We also just received our MS9s for the month of September. I didn't really have a chance to go through it in great detail because we just got it 2 days ago or a day.
You sent it on to us, didn't that? Didn't
Yeah, I
just
always
see
do.
that? Yeah, I know. So good. Yeah.
So I send that to everybody all the trustees, but it also, the report for the MVD goes to the MVD, the report for the school goes to the school.
Cool.
So everybody gets their monthly update on that information.
I haven't looked at it carefully at this point.
Well, there's not much to look at for the capital reserve funds. A little bit more for the common funds, which is something I would like, is tracking income. The question that I have on tracking income is, we are an income-oriented investment, and we frequently look at our portfolio in terms of comparing it to a particular benchmark. It used to be the S&P 500, for example. And that's obviously important, but because we need income to pay the scholarships and the cemetery care and whatever else it is we pay for, steady income or growing income is something I think we should be asking them to track a little bit for us, unless somebody doesn't care.
No, I think that's important.
I think it's something to be aware of. I think we're all aware that the stock markets, the equity portion of the markets, has been volatile at best, if not reduced by 20 to 30% for some portfolios, not ours. So I think it's good to track it in both directions, whether it's total value or income train. But anyway, those are the things that I have in mind. And if somebody else wants to add something as we move through, or as you look at the MS9 or the quarterly report.
The only question really that I have, or that I've had as I'm going through these things, and how it takes a while to get on track, is, do we have cash on hand? And if so, how much? Or is everything invested in stocks and bonds and CDs and whatever?
No, we have cash. I think there's 20,000 in the scholarship fund, and maybe 15. But if you look at the first page of the each this one, 5 reports.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the first page of each one, there's a pie graph:
Yeah.
equities, fixed income, and a little wedge for cash. And then next to that shows you the dollar amount.
So we have a checking account that has cash, or they
No.
keep it as
No,
cash?
they keep it as
They
cash.
They have it as cash. Okay.
Yep. So I send them a letter. When we authorize something here, I send them a letter of instruction, and they mail a check directly to the school or the MVD or whoever it is. So we don't write any checks. In days gone past, we used to keep a checkbook.
Yes, I know. I'm finding them.
Yeah.
Lots of them.
I don't think there's been one since, well, we started with Cambridge Trust for the Capital Reserve Funds in 2012, 10-year anniversary coming up.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And
Yeah, and they've all been shredded because they're more than 8 years, but
Yep.
checkbooks, deposit slips, it's just incredible.
Well, I mean, the other thing, Pat, is like, in previous meetings that we've all been involved in, it's, if you know of something coming up, or somebody knows of something that's been requested, and then we give Cambridge Trust a heads up so that they can make sure that they don't, quote unquote, overinvest, so to speak.
Yeah, well,
so
that's-
that they
that's-
have the liquidity to pay for whatever we're gonna spend money on.
That's kind of why I asked the question, because I think MVD sent you a list of what they expect they're going to be spending
Right.
on,
Yep.
so that you can prepare to have the cash available. And that's what got me thinking was, do we actually have cash?
Well, if you look at the pie chart,
Okay,
You'll see
and,
that, yes.
and maybe it said cash, but I wasn't thinking of that cash
well, it
as
says
being
cash and enhanced cash or cash equivalents.
something like that, then
It's
Is-
all the same thing. It's all liquid.
it's all liquid cash.
But a
Okay.
cash equivalent could be a money market fund, so it earns 0.5% or some other minuscule amount of interest.
And yet a money market account, if we were to close it out, we get penalized, don't we, if we close it out ahead of time?
Not a money market.
Not
Not
a
a
money
money
market.
market.
CDs, yes.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But when we talk about like the ladder,
Yes,
and we've told them, hey, listen, we need to have so much money for
Ex-
MVD or
Exactly.
for capital reserves or whatever, and they consider that into the ladder so that they don't kind of handcuff themselves into a problem where they don't have the cash available that we've requested.
okay, yeah, and that's, we have been talking ladders, and I'm more understanding what the ladders are or were. But because something comes in, if somebody were to come in with a request and we approve it now, what happens when we have like the request for the Thornton's Ferry Playground? Because I don't see that they haven't submitted the bills yet. So when would we get the cash to transfer to the district when they submit the bills to us?
We have it now.
We have the bills now? Or we
No,
have the
We
cash?
have the cash.
Okay,
So we start setting aside, when we pass the approval for, pick a number, $25,000 for the playground,
mm-hmm,
we tell Cambridge Trust,
okay,
they encumber that amount, keep it in cash until we pay the bill.
okay.
By the same token, if we come back and say, you know what, they decided not to build the playground, we don't need that 25,000 in cash, you can
Invest
reinvest
it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So they get copies of the minutes periodically, and I send them a letter of investment, or letter of instruction, excuse me, when we make changes one way or another that are actually approved by the trustees. So it has to follow what we do here in this room, as opposed to just kind of winging it.
well, thank you. I appreciate that, because the longer I sit here, the more I discover that I don't know, that I should know. So
Well,
So thank you.
It takes a little bit of time.
it takes a lot of bit of time.
There's something else related to that I was going to suggest, but I don't think we've gotten all of the bills for the gymnasium. I think we got them all for the floors and the bleachers and that kind of stuff.
The library too, because I know they worked on the library over the summer.
Yep.
Yeah,
But we also talked about a new sound system for the all-purpose room, and I don't think that's been installed yet. And I don't know if maybe it has been. I just haven't been in the all-purpose room where I was listening to anything since primary election, but I think that was done with Bob Malloy.
yeah, that was actually.
So anyway, some of that stuff,
Oh, actually, primary would have been cable, but
there's a time lag.
yeah, with everything.
On all
And
that
it's the
stuff.
beginning of the year, and they're just starting on their budgets for next year. And yeah,
Well, you look at the bill we paid last month for Last Rest Cemetery.
yes,
They closed the bill out December 31st. They didn't send us the bill. They never do.
Yeah.
Until
August.
September, October,
Yeah.
10 months, 8, 9 months, 10 months later. I don't know why we have that lag. Doesn't impact us. It comes at the same time every year. We know it's coming. So it's not a big deal.
No, and it surprises me that they're not using the same fiscal year that the town is, but
They're an independent corporation.
that's right. I mean, yes.
Yeah, people think it's a town cemetery, but it really isn't.
I know.
Well, the next thing on the agenda, unless somebody else has any other questions or discussion about portfolio, correspondence, and we have not had any. this month, with the exception of stuff, the newsletters and so forth that come
Okay.
routinely from Cambridge Trust in the case that we mentioned in Morningstar, but nothing that requires any action. So, and we just checked the mailbox this morning, so we're up to date there. And future meetings, we agreed on November 18th. Is that still agreeable?
Yes.
Okay. And I have talked to, I say talked, email to Cambridge Trust, and they're good with that. And no meeting in December. And then the next one is January 20th. Are those all
It's highly
okay with everybody?
It's highly probable that the January 21 for me will be remote. You know, whether that's on the phone or Zoom, however that works.
Okay, well, I think we can check back beginning of January and just be sure about that. I'm not sure, that's a Friday,
It is.
and I guess Martin Luther King Day is the Monday before that.
No, Martin Luther King Day is the 6th. Oh, yes, excuse me, you're right. I was looking at, is the 16th.
Right.
I mean, if you feel like it's, you know, the agenda looks like it's filling up for a January meeting, you know, early January would be better for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've done that before,
Because we're
Yeah.
skipping December,
exactly.
Right.
so we'll have
13th.
a pretty good lag in between.
Well, we couldn't do it on the 13th because that's the Friday before a 3-day weekend. So it might be January 6th.
Yeah, that would work if you want to meet in person. But I'm 99% sure I will not be here on the 20th.
So I guess we should check back with each other.
Yeah, I have
in
available
December.
6, 13, 20, and 27. And I'm just curious if the three of us could make it on the Friday of a 3-day weekend, why we couldn't meet on the 13th.
Well, we could. I just don't know who has travel plans at that point in time. And
Okay.
Let's circle back like towards the end of December, if you
Yeah.
don't mind.
so where are you
because-
going?
I'm getting out of the snow.
Well, I'm just thinking.
Where are you
I
going?
don't know that there's a requirement.
I mean, are
we
you
have
going to
meet
be on the
in this
10th
room.
screen? Are you going to be on the 10th screen like Tom is?
I can't promise that, but I don't like snow.
I don't either.
I should do what I did. I bought snow melt mats for my front walk. And the driveway gets plowed, so I'm out of the snow. All right. Follow up in December. Anything else that we should be discussing or that might be suitable for a future agenda?
The only thing that I can tell you, and I know you've been talking to Janet Krupp as well about the memorandum of understanding, is that the attorney, the director of charitable trusts suggests that before we sign anything, it be reviewed by our counsel.
Yeah, our council may be their council. I don't know that.
I don't know that either, but it was,
Well,
that it should be reviewed.
I kind of let it drop because I haven't seen anything from them or heard anything from them. So,
Well, I had a meeting with them, as I told you I was
Yeah.
going to this week.
well, this
and
week I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes, I met with them, it was on Monday.
Okay.
They've tried to schedule it, but I met with Janet and Deb Koval on Monday. And they do want to put the date when they would prefer to receive funds. They're going to add that. There's some other words that they're changing, but we talked about the charitable trust unit should review it. And Diane Quinlan said that not only that, because she can't offer legal advice, but the town council, meaning the town attorney.
Yep.
When she said town council the first time, I was thinking this town council.
No,
is
she's SEL.
Yes, SEL is yeah, but she said the town council should review it as well.
That would pretty much be routine for us.
I would, yeah, that's what I was hoping, so I wasn't concerned about that.
Yeah.
So,
But like I say, I haven't heard anything back from, you know, we got that first
yes,
thing, and Janet had a couple of questions that I answered, or suggestions that I made, one of which was, if you're gonna put a date certain, then you might also want to put a phrase in there that has some flexibility, so that if something comes up and you want some money tomorrow, you can do it, and you don't have to wait 6 months for
Yeah.
June 15th to roll around. In any event, I'm just letting that one lay fallow until they send us something, and then we can
that's where we're at, and just get the,
approach it if we have to.
they're working on it, but slowly. And what they are doing, and did they tell you, I mean, Deb and Janet are trying to put together a memorandum of the procedures that they follow, so that people that follow them will know what to do and how to do it. So they're actually putting together a list of procedures with Palma and the town, because they get their money and their bills are paid, and their insurance comes through the town, and their bills are paid by but there's a process that they go through. So they're trying to
Sure.
put together a list of procedures, policies, and procedures to go forward.
Well, they're a little bit constrained. We're supposed to give them money periodically, that's fine. But then there are restrictions in the bequest saying to buy nonfiction or to buy children's books
Yes.
or whatever it may be. And at some point in time, they don't have room for new children's books until they discard old children's books, or whatever the case may be for the physical space limitations. Always disappointed we didn't build a new library.
Don't even. Are you?
Well, anyway, that's another.
That's another whole story. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm just probably twice as disappointed.
In any event, those kinds of issues make it difficult to.
Well, that's one of the things we talked about, because they are buying children's books or children's materials or books on tape or books that have, and it's a question of somebody needs to be sitting down and saying, okay, this bill that's come here, let's take the money we got from the income and pay this bill with that. Because they're still buying women's fiction, they're still providing programs. It's just a question of somebody has to, and that's a time issue and a staff issue.
Well, that's their bailiwick.
That's their,
I
and
don't-
that's
I
just
wouldn't wanna
it,
sec-
and that's what I said,
I don't
that's
want to
their
second
issue.
guess anything they do over there.
Motion to adjourn?
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Geez, I thought we were gonna have a record, but we actually went for 22, 23 minutes.